We're recording.
My name is Mary Ann Mashburn, and I'm the president of East Thompson Community. And I want to thank the candidates and each of you for taking time out of your Saturday to be here, for caring enough about your neighborhood and your district to be an informed voter. East Thompson Community is a nonpartisan organization and does not support or oppose any political party, candidate, or office holder. We chose to host this forum because our neighborhood, although not extremely large, is in two different districts, the 13th and the 16th district. In order to best serve our neighborhood, we invited all the candidates from both districts to this forum. It is our sincere desire to have a good working relationship with the council members who will represent our neighborhood. Our moderator tonight is Shirzad Tayyar. Shirzad is a resident of East Thompson Community and the 16th District. I'm happy to know him and thrilled to have him in our neighborhood. He is part of the energy that has helped reinvigorate and revitalize our neighborhood group. Our timekeeper tonight is Joe Bain Colbert. And you guys can count on Joe, and y'all can see him now, you know where he is. You can count on Joe to keep things on time tonight because he has plans. It's a special day for Joe. It's his 6th wedding anniversary. And he and his beautiful wife probably have somewhere to be after this.
Probably the only applause I get.
If you did not, we handed out cards as you came in. If by some chance you have a question and you did not get a note card, if you'll raise your hand, someone will bring you a card. There's a chance that your question, by the time we get to audience questions, will have already been covered. In that case, your question won't be asked. But that's about it for me. Shirzad?
All right, thank you so much, everybody, for coming here today. This evening, it's been a pleasure to be a part of this community and looking very forward to working with every single one of you individuals here tonight. Thank you. So I guess let's keep it brief and go ahead and get started. Opening remarks, if we will. If you want to get ready, Mr. Carter. Go ahead.
So, can you read the question that you wanted us to?
It was opening remarks. It was the ones that I sent out.
I know, that's what
It is the one where it says, why are you running for this council seat and what separates you from the other candidates in your district?
Hey guys, how are you doing this afternoon? My name is Patricia Carter and I'm running for District 13 council seat. That's the most common question that we get today is, why are you running? All of my friends and family, or at least all of my friends said, are you crazy? Are you sure this is what you want to do? And then my family, they kind of like, it fits you, go ahead and run. But what I want to say though is the candidate's here and the other candidate is not here. We all have qualities that make us want to run for city council. And I'm sure that they're all good qualities, but what would make me different as a candidate is that I am very passionate about helping and serving my community and serving people of Nashville. All of my adulthood life, I've served in some capacity, whether it's as a PTO president, as a cheerleader, as a nonprofit owner, helping out in the community to build a garden, whatever it may be. I'm always hands-on helping out. So when I went to my family and I told them, hey, I'm running for city council, they're like, okay, what do we need to do? How can we help you? Because this is normally what you do. I'm always coming to them and saying, hey, I'm about to volunteer for this, or hey, you guys want to help out with that? So this is typical of me. So what makes me the better candidate is that I'm willing to do anything it takes, which I'm sure these guys are as well, but I'm engaging with the community currently. I am out trying to reach each and every one of you, whether I'm knocking on your door, I'm having a meet and greet in the community, or I'm having an event for our youth to try to bring us together to understand what it is that we need in the East Thompson community and all of the District of 13 to see what is needed for our new focus going forward. I've heard several issues that we'd like to address, and one of those is going to be communication. And there's nobody that's going to communicate better than me out of the people that are running. I'm an over-communicator because he's going to hold up the yellow flag to me in a few minutes and tell me I need to be quiet because I'm going over. So I want to make sure that I give you all the information that you need at all times. And I promise you that I'm willing to do that, and I'm going to work hard on your behalf every day. Thank you.
Next up is Mr. Freeman.
All right, thank you guys for coming out. Thank you, Shazad. Thank you, Mary Ann, and the whole steering committee of the East Thompson for hosting this. I'm Mike Freeman, and I'm running for the 16th district. These guys are running for the 13th, but I'm in the 16th. A little about me, I grew up in East Nashville. As a young man, I entered the Boy Scouts, where I'm on Eagle Scout Award. In the Boy Scouts, they teach you how to be a citizen and about community service. I'm a graduate of Martin Luther King Magnet High School. I'm also a United States Marine. In the United States Marine, we have what they call the Marine Corps values. That's honor, courage, and commitment. And I try to live my life every day with those values in mind. I'm also hold a degree in civil and construction engineering technology. That deals with zoning, community planning, stormwater runoff, etc. For the last 5 years, I've worked with a company, and we deal with local governments all across the state of Tennessee, not including Nashville. With that experience that I have, I think that that'll benefit the 16th district as we move forward. And I've gotten off track, so I thank you for your time, and I appreciate you coming out, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Mr. Cole is up next.
Good evening. Can y'all hear me without the microphone? Okay, because I'd rather speak without that. My name is Mark Cole, and I am a lifelong resident of Nashville. I'm actually a fourth-generation Nashvilleian. I grew up here. I grew up actually up the road in the Lipscomb area. Right now, I live on Bell Road, right across from the Elm Hill Marina, and this is the 13th district that we're in. A little bit about myself. I went to public and private schools here in Nashville. I've seen the good and bad of both those schools. I think we can do a whole lot better with our public schools, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. I think that, I've got BBA in Finance from Mercer University in Macon, Georgia, and I've got a law degree from the University of Memphis. Before I went to law school, I worked for the local banks here. Does anybody remember Commerce Union Bank? Sovereign Bank? CNS Sovereign Bank? Well, another sovereign bank. I'm sorry, I lost my place. There's another part of Sovereign Bank, and then there's Nations Bank, and there's Bank of America. I worked at all three until one of the last times where I suffered a reduction in force. And then worked for Ford Credit for a while. And when I worked at Ford Credit, it was a job that I really could not stand. And so that's when I decided to go ahead and go to law school. After law school, I clerked for the Chancellor in Murfreesboro. I had a small law firm at one time. I worked for an office where we did real estate litigation. And I've worked for the state in the Department of Labor, and I've worked for the state in the Department of Health. I think that there are three main issues we need to talk about. The first one is transportation. Now, and I have flyers out here that'll go a little further in that, and also I've got a website, which I invite you to look at. But who's here from the 13th? 2, 3, okay, 4, okay, great. Transportation is one of the biggest issues we have is because we don't have buses that run all the way out through my district. And with people who are not, who are getting displaced and having to move out to Hermitage and Antioch and to different areas, they're not going to be able to get their bus to take them to work. And we have to fix that problem right now, and we can. Now, what I'd love to see is a regional train system. We have a good train coming out of Donaldson, but the problem is when you, have I got the yellow card already?
20 seconds.
Okay. Well, I'm wrapping up real quick. I think what makes me different is that I have the age, I have the temperament, I have the education to effectively serve in the council. And for those in the 13th, I invite you to come and look at my website. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. And now for the questions. Question number 1 is, what are your top 3 priorities that you believe that are the most pressing concerns to the district that you stay in or live in? And Mr. Cole, you are up first.
I just stayed up. Top three, well, there's transportation. Well, in general, there's transportation, there's infrastructure, and there's education. The education, right now, we are funding 2 school systems. We're funding a charter school system, which takes $9,000 out of the metro budget for each child. And we're also funding a public school system. Now, the public school system needs to be done better. And that's why we have charter schools, and that's why we have a need for charter schools. Have y'all looked at the prices of private schools? They're the highest in the whole state. And the reason being is because there's a market for it. We've got to do better. I was on the Parents Advisory Council, and they didn't really ask our opinion on anything. They just wanted to show us all the great stuff they're doing. And there's so much management in public schools. And one thing I'm really kind of glad about is that we're getting a new public school superintendent, somebody who can make the changes and do better, because we need good local schools. We need to be able to go to your community and have the school there for your child so they can go and get AP classes, or if they have special needs, they can get special needs classes. Somewhere it's close. My son just got out of Stanford Montessori. He's been through 4th grade, and now he's going to a magnet school, which is great, but now I'm going to have to take him all the way across town to a magnet school. You know, everybody wants to do the best for their children, but we've got to do best for everybody, and we've got to have a good public school system. What's near and dear to me is the traffic on Bell Road. I know East Thompson is on the other side of our district, but Bell Road has horrible traffic because when they did that road, from what I understand, it was still a really rural community. And the problem is that they built subdivision after subdivision, and they've not done anything about the road or the stoplights. In fact, right now, there's over a 300 unit apartment complex being built over there. And one of the things we talked about was whether, beforehand with our previous councilman, whether we could get a traffic light. The problem is that we never heard anything back. And that's really one thing I want to do is I want to go ahead. I want Patricia to talk about how she's a communicator. I want to sit there and I'm going to talk to everybody in my district as much as I can. And if it's feasible to have meetings set up at different times, I'm getting my red card. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Next up is Ms. Carter.
You want me to question
Would you like me to read it again?
Yes.
All right. What are your top 3 priorities that you believe that are the most pressing concerns to the district that you live in?
Well, in the District 13, I believe we said there was 4 people here tonight, but all of you, I believe, is from the East Thompson community. So those are the issues that I'm going to address. All the issues that Mark addressed were very important issues citywide, I believe, but I'm going to focus on this light right here is flashing in our eyes, so if it's okay, I'm going to move. Nope, they got to take that.
Just
Long enough, Sharon?
Let me turn that on instead. Hang on, guys, I'll just turn it on.
Press again.
Sorry. Guess it's on from now on.
That's
We
great.
can move it.
Maybe if I turn it this way, it'll help. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. So, the number one concern that I've heard in the East Thompson community is the helicopters. Finding a better solution for the helicopters. What that solution is, I'm not quite sure, but working with those individuals that can help us come up with a better solution so it's not disturbing your sleep, it's not disturbing your children while they're trying to sleep, because from the understanding I get, they're kind of hovering in the area due to their training. And this information was not communicated to the community before it actually started happening. Just one day you heard all this big noise outside and you wanted to know what it was. So just making sure that we have all the information we need to know before it actually happens, and then trying to come up with the best solution that's going to be able to help the National Guards, plus help the families that live in their community. That's going to be first on my list. Second on my list is going to be to ensure that everyone is heard in regards to this precinct right here, in regards to the downtown precinct moving in with us here. I know that originally we were not provided with that information beforehand. I get counted because we get to move all the stuff.
I started it after that.
So originally, we were not informed, once again, that they were going to move that precinct here at all. So making sure that the community is very informed beforehand will be my #1 priority. And then we know that this issue is going to come up again next year. So making sure that we're ahead of that and knowing what the solutions can be other than the coming year, if that's what we want. And then thirdly, the sidewalks in our community, and that's without the entire District 13. It's making sure that we have enough sidewalks to help all of our family members walk their dogs, ride their bikes, and walk with their children. Thank you.
Next up is Mr. Freeman. Here, read the question.
Please.
What are your top 3 priorities that you believe that are the most pressing concerns to the district you live in?
Okay, the top 3, starting first, would be the division that we have in our district. The last election ripped us wide open. And if I'm elected, my first goal is to go and try and repair that division. Because as Dr. Seuss once said, there's no use looking back. You're not going that direction. My second goal will be capital budget. In the last 4 years, we have not been in the capital budget. We have been overlooked, and I hope to change that with your help. Thirdly, neighborhood associations. Just like what you guys have done here in the East Thompson community, I want to see that all across the 16th district. Because with strong neighborhood associations, that's where, as your representative, I can get good information. Because you're right there with the people. And we build that strong neighborhood association, and then we go and we know exactly what we want to do, what direction we want to move forward with. And those are my 3 that I want to work on. Thank you.
Alright. And for the next question, neighborhoods are often unaware of matters that are being decided by the council that have direct impact on our neighborhoods. If you are elected, how do you plan to contact your constituents with issues that are brought up to the Metro Council? Further, how do you plan to be available for the average voter to express his or her concerns?
Good question. Communication is key with your voters. And when we started this campaign, we vowed to try to contact anyone who contacted us. We wanted to talk to them within 24 hours in one form or fashion. Email, phone call, however. As far as disseminating information from the council, I'm going to hold quarterly meetings where you can just come and we pick a coffee shop. We pick any event, and I'm just there open, 2 hours, and we can talk about that. I'm going to try to attend as many of your neighborhood association meetings as I can. That way, if there are issues that you need to be aware of, I'm going to address them at that time, and that way we know. And if possibly build a large email bank, do an email blast. But at the end of the day, I want to communicate as much information to you as I possibly can. Thank you.
Mr. Cole? The question again once was, neighborhoods are often unaware of matters that are being decided by the council that have direct impact on our neighborhoods. If you are elected, how do you plan to contact your constituents with issues that are brought up to the Metro Council? Further, how do you plan to be available for the average voter to express his or her concerns?
Well, one thing I have, and I'm set up is an email account. And if anybody has a question to me, I'm going to invite them to email it, or I also have a dedicated phone line for constituents. And I'll promise to get back with people within 72 business hours. I know that when somebody calls up their councilman or council person, you want to talk to them. You want to know what's going on. If you have a concern It's my concern. Now, the thing about the question, from what I understand, is the way that issues that are happening that people need to know about. I think probably Twitter might be the better way to do that. That will get set up upon election. But when you got to look at the 13th district, and this is kind of a great example of it. Imagine this is the district, this is the airport, this is the Bell Road area, this is the area over here where Saturn and where the Kermit and all that are, and that's another area. We really don't have a cohesive neighborhood district, and that's a shame because there's a lot of people who can benefit from that. I'd like to see that, and I'd like to actually kind of spearhead being more active in getting our whole district. I know it'd be part of the East Thompson group, to get all of our district together and to have meetings and to see if those would be feasible. One thing I don't want to see is I don't want to have meetings set up and have nobody show up. And then have people say, oh, well, you know, you're not communicating with us. I'm going to tell everybody what's going on. I'm going to tell them when it happens. And communication is a two-way street, and I expect you guys to communicate back with me and say, hey, I like this is great, or this is something we need to stop. One of the problems I think with the past is, and I ran out of time again, I'm sorry.
Neighborhoods are often unaware of matters that are being decided by the council that have direct impact on our neighborhoods. If you are elected, how do you plan to contact your constituents with issues that are brought up to the Metro Council? Further, how do you plan to be available for the average voter to express his or her concerns?
That's an awesome question. And you know, you just set me up because I did just tell you guys nobody was going to be a better communicator than me, right? So I got to deliver on that. Turning it. Okay, so for me, communication is key. And so I've already put several things into place to ensure that I communicate well with my constituents. Shh. So, now, one...
We'll never talk down to you.
I know. But one, like Mike had said here, meet and greets. I've already started that. I'm a doer more than a speaker. So my thing is making sure that I put into action now what I'm willing to do once I get elected. And that is meet and greets. I've already held 4 meet and greets within this area. And I've hit all those points that he was talking about within our district. I did one on this side, I did one on the Saturn side, I did one on the Bell Road side, and I've already done that, and that's what I plan to continue doing. I plan to do that every quarter. I also plan to send out an email newsletter. I also plan to use all social media sites to get in touch with people. Like Mark said, you need people to provide you with the information in order to get the information to you. So, like the Southeast Police Precinct and them moving here, a lot of that should have been like knocking doors. Hey, I need to talk to you about a real concern that's going on within our community and get your, hear your concerns and get that feedback. So doing that, and then also I have a big announcement, guys. I'm working on having a phone app built. So once I'm elected, you guys will be able to see concerns that are going on within our district, and you'll be able to see where people from the community have input, issues, ideas, and how I responded to them or when I will respond to them. So I think it'll cut down on a lot of the same questions over and over and over again. You can see that, hey, I'm already about to respond. Thank you.
Ms. Carter, the next question is for you first.
I think just kept going.
The question is, what zoning or other regulatory actions could the city implement to improve the quality of businesses along Murfreesboro Pike and Millsboro Road corridors?
Read the question again, please.
Sure. What zoning or other regulatory actions could the city implement to improve the quality of businesses along the Murfreesboro Road, Pike, and Millsboro Road?
I actually think that Murfreesboro Road and Millsboro Road have got a lot of good businesses now. But as far as the zoning, it's just ensuring that we are getting the right kind of businesses within our district that we're going to actually service to, that we're going to actually go to. I haven't heard much concern about that in the area, so I'd be curious to hear what type of businesses we would like in the community that we don't already have. You said a mobile restaurant?
Something that isn't a mobile restaurant.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you, Ms. Carter. Mr. Freeman, you're up next.
Since you're in planning, you should be
What's happened was. All right, one more time, please.
What zoning or other regulatory actions could the city implement to improve the quality of businesses along the Murfreesboro Pike and Knowlesboro Road corridors?
Okay. I'm not exactly sure. I think it was last year, Councilman Bedney and another councilman passed a bill regulating how close a payday loan could be. Because in the 16th district on Knowlesboro Road, we have what we joke as the financial district. There are 3 payday loans on one corner. That distance now is 1,300 feet. So we don't want to kill businesses as long as they're thriving and they're doing well. But at the same time, we don't want to be where you go to get your used tires or where you buy your used cars and such like that. There's also a bill right now that they're trying to limit how close the used car lots could be. I would be for that bill. What's the second one? One more time, I'm sorry.
What zoning or other regulatory actions?
All right. And also, if you remember, if you've lived here long enough, if you remember what Charlotte Avenue looked like 5 years ago, and now you see what it looks like now, good representation from your city council made that happen. And we need to force Metro government to spend money in the 16th district. Because as soon as Metro starts spending money, private investors spend money, and that's how we make a change. Thank you.
Mr. Cole?
Well, one of the disadvantages of going last in a question like that is that everything's pretty much been said. It's really been no secret that, I guess, at least the past mayor's group has concentrated on downtown and not on the neighborhoods. And I know in Donaldson that there's a neighborhood association gotten real big called Hip Donaldson. I'm not sure if anybody knows about that group. That is how we are going to rise these communities up, is doing it ourselves. And having the council and the city invest back into our areas. Because right now, everything's going downtown. And downtown's great, downtown's fun. When you have people come in from out of town, you go downtown, right? We've got great areas here. We've got great areas in Donaldson over in Bell Road, and we need to have those areas built up. And I think what Mike said is important, that we need to have good representation in, so we can direct the funds towards building up our businesses and building up our areas. As for zoning, there's kind of 2 schools of thought. One is kind of have an open, this is America, this is kind of do what you want to do. And when you get that, you can get a whole bunch of payday loans right next to each other on down the road. And this is not how I want to see my city. And I'm not sure if that's how you want to see your city. You may think payday loans are the greatest things on earth. If you do, we have to disagree on that. Used car lots, they're necessary, one after the other. It doesn't look good, and it's not good for our area and for our community. We need people. Somebody said they want a restaurant that's not on a truck. We need, sorry.
And the next question is, what are your thoughts regarding the proposed amendment number 2 to the Metropolitan Charter, specifically regarding increasing the size of the Metro Council in light of that we are the 22nd largest city in the U.S., but our council is the 3rd largest? And Mr. Freeman, this goes to you first.
Yes. Okay. All right, amendment number 2. If I read it correctly, as I stood there and cast the vote for myself yesterday, it said there were 2 parts to it, and please correct me if I'm wrong. The first part said that it also tied in extending term limits and reducing the council to 27. The first amendment was just was extending the term limits. So when I saw that, I thought to myself, well, why would I vote for extending the term limits and shortening the council? So do I support Amendment 2? No, I do not. Thank you.
Mr. Carter? You're next.
Okay, amendment number 2. What do I think about that? I'm gonna go over here and use Mark's picture. For District 13, especially, if I'm wrong, somebody correct me, but I think that we're the largest district. And that's because the airport sits right in the middle. And we're already spread out. So think about it going down to 27. And we already got the people on the East Thompson side that's upset because they don't feel inclusive with the people on this side. So if we make it smaller, then this district alone is gonna go like this. So all the other districts are gonna get increased as well. So one of the number 1 complaints I hear when I knock on people's doors is, I don't even know who my councilman is. And if I do know who they are, I haven't received a return telephone call, and I don't know what they're doing for us. So if it's larger, what do you think is gonna happen? It's gonna be less return telephone calls. It's gonna be less communication because it's more people to be involved with. Now, I wouldn't be opposed maybe if it was a full-time position versus a part-time position. The majority of the council members have full-time jobs, and this is considered their part-time job. So to have 1,700 district members and then to go to 34, if that was the case, that seems like a lot for one person to me. And it seems like the quality would tremendously go down even more. So I am definitely against it. As far as the 3 terms, I do believe more experience is better than no experience. So I wouldn't be opposed to the 3 per se, but not with 27. Thank you.
Mr. Cole?
My understanding is that the way the council got to 40 people was that when the city, or I'm sorry, when the county took over the city, when it became metropolitan government, there were 20 in the city councilmen and 20 council members in the county, and they didn't want anybody to lose their seat. So that's how I got 40 altogether. Now, my opinion on this is basically, it doesn't matter how many council seats there are. We can communicate with you. We can do what we can do to talk to everybody, and you can talk to us. The big thing about it is that we do need more terms, because 2 terms sounds really great, but my understanding is that most of the time people get in there the first term and they kind of figure out where the coffee is, where they park, and get their feet wet on how the committees work, and then the second term they really get their job going. My big problem with the dropping of the districts is that I don't know how they're going to do it. I kind of feel it's kind of a hide the ball issue right now, and that's what really bothers me. If you say this is what the district's going to be, then that's fine. Show me what it is, let everybody vote on it. But it's some kind of, yeah, we want to drop it down. Well, how do you want to drop it down? We'll tell you later. I'll give you an example. I work for the state. And the state said, okay, we're going to stop civil service. And we're going to have what's called preferred service. And we're going to pay you more money, but we take away your civil service rights. It's like, okay, that's great. Then I went to a conference. They said, okay, this is what we did. And what we're going to do is we figured out how to take away the civil service. Okay. We've not figured out how to pay you guys more money. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen here. I got my time out.
Alrighty, so the next question is, with the current growth factor in our city, what changes or improvements would you like to see or make happen or to our districts where you stay at in order to keep the pace with the growth? And that is going to be Mr. Cole first.
Please repeat the question.
With the current growth factor in our city, what changes or improvements would you like to see or make happen to our district in order to keep pace with the growth?
Okay. Nashville is one of the top growing areas in the nation. We've got a great climate. Businesses like to come here because of the income tax. They're not coming here for the education, and we need to make that part of our thing. What changes would I like to see? Well, transportation is a big one. We spend, I think, half in what cities our size spend on transportation. Every time my family goes on vacation to another city, we try to hit a big one every year. We're always amazed at the subway systems, at the train systems, at the bus systems of the towns. And really, Nashville should be the shining star in the Mid-South. You know, we've got one of the best climates in terms of business. We've got one of the best climates in terms of just climate. I mean, this is a great area to be in. And I'm not just saying that just because I've always lived here. I've been in different areas, and I love Nashville. What we can do is we can just take time to talk to people and find what's important. You know, we have a real bad problem right now with affordable housing because people are being moved out of their houses, and the people who are being moved out of their houses are not the ones making the money from the sale of the house, generally. And they're moving to the far edges. And we've got to do better with that. If not, everybody's going to be moving out. And while we count as, are you sure? That is real fast. While we, you know, we count right now, we count Nashville and the surrounding counties. In fact, it goes all the way up to, I think, a couple of counties in Kentucky. And Nashville, every 10 years, keeps on considering itself bigger and bigger. But people are moving out. And I consider part of it our actual county of Davidson County, Nashville proper. People are moving out, and we've got to do better with that. Thank you.
Mr. Freeman?
Could you repeat the question?
With the current growth factor in our city, what changes or improvements would you like to see or make happen to our district in order to keep pace with the growth?
All right, so basically we're talking about density, population density. And let's talk about the question we just discussed earlier, Nolensville Road, Murfreesboro Road. When I talk to my neighbors, they don't want to have their lots split up and tall, skinny houses on every lot. My neighbors enjoy the fact that they have a yard and a nice place. They don't want to have a 0 lot line where they reach out and touch their neighbor. So how about cleaning up Nolensville Road, we bring in mixed use. You've got storefronts on the bottom. Upstairs, we've got condominiums. And if we get that, we can clean it up. We get the city government to help us with different projects, and that deals with our density issue. Thank you.
With the current growth factor in our city, what changes or improvements would you like to see or make happen to the district in order to keep pace with the growth?
Well, I'm going to hit on what both of the guys said. One, me being a real estate agent, I can most definitely relate to what Mike said. We most definitely need that in this area, building up of different homes, but not the shotgun type homes where you put 4 on one lot and you have no yard. That's not what we want for this community. But it would be nice to have our area similar to the Gulch or to what they've just done on 8th Avenue South. To do something like that in the area would be great. So doing that is one, but making sure that the current homeowners are not affected by this growth as well, though. Making sure that you keep your yard is very important. Make sure that you keep your house. You don't have someone in your backyard now facing you. It's very important to us. Also, I'm going to go with transportation. Murfreesboro Road and Nolensville Road are really great with transportation. I mean, you can stand out on the side and you get a bus every 5 minutes. But we also connect to the southeast portion, which is going to be Antioch. And it's not even half of what we have coming down Murfreesboro Road and Nolensville Road. So making sure that we have more than one outlet than Murfreesboro Road and Nolensville Road. So making sure Bell Road is being touched too, which is a part of District 13 as well. Making sure all the side streets, Hill Pike, all of those kind of streets are still included and have bus routes more than 2 times a day. Because right now that's about what it is, 2 times a day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. So we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to come in and out through the growth. And then lastly, our schools, which is the elementary schools, Glenview Elementary, Glengarry Elementary, Glencliff High School, and McGavick High School. Middle schools, Wright Middle, and can't think of the other middle school within our district. But making sure that they haven't gone over capacity, because as we grow, they continue to get tighter and tighter. So making sure we have enough teachers within the system and see if another school may need to be built and get it.
And the next question is, what are 3 achievable goals that you would champion in the next 2 to 4 years or your term? Mr. Freeman, this is for you first.
3 achievable goals. Three achievable goals. I think in the next 4 years, especially with the additional $25 million going into the budget, the 16th district can finally get a sidewalk. Showmanship, you always want to leave on a high note. The second one, it's not exactly in my district, but I would love to see more mixed use at the fairgrounds. Perhaps a dog park. Clean up that area, that way we can all use the fairgrounds. Thirdly, let's see. I'm going to use all my time on this one. I can't think of a third one other than just getting noticed in the Metro Council and bringing us back to the conversation. And that I can guarantee.
Ms. Carter? All right. And what are 3 achievable goals that you would champion in the next 2 to 4 years?
I mean, achievable, this is a hard question for us, I think. And I think it's hard because, one, I need to talk to you first. I need to know what it is that we want to fight for, what we need for our community, and that's what I'm going to try to achieve. And not knowing all of those right now makes it kind of hard, but I know one for sure is making sure that we up front talk about the jail move to here. Make sure we have that conversation up front and figure out what it is we want for our community. Do we want it here or do we not? And if we choose to not want it here, ensuring that it doesn't come here. At least doing my part to make sure that that doesn't happen. So that's one. Also, in the summertime, we have a lot of youth that have nothing to do. Ensuring that they have something to do in the summertime within our community, so that you don't have to bust them downtown or across town to Brickwood or, Murfreesboro to get them into activities. Them having activities within our community during the summer. Thirdly, I really hate to even throw anything into the atmosphere not knowing what you want. So I'm going to leave the third one up to you to tell me what it is that we need within our district, and that's what I'm going to achieve. Thank you.
Well, I agree with Mike. Sidewalks are really important. It seems like in the past when they put down a road, they slap down the asphalt and they did as close as they could to parking lots, and there are no sidewalks. And it's kind of hard to walk anywhere because if there is a sidewalk, it's usually on the other side of the street where you want to be, or where you're going to. But you know, what's interesting is that listening to the other candidates, I think for the most part, we're all on the same page. I think that we are looking to put money, put resources, really resources, back into this area. Put resources back into the area over in Donaldson. Put resources over there in the area over in Nolensville Road. And work on cleaning up, making sure that ordinances are followed, because that's one of the biggest problems I've heard about. People talk about how a roadside is not being taken care of, and they talk to their councilman and they hear nothing. But really, and what Fatisha says is true, is that we need to hear from you. We need to know what it is and what's important to you. We need to know what issues you all are having right now and addressing those issues when they come up, and not just sitting there saying, thank you, I really appreciate your comments. We'll look into that. I mean, I've heard that 2 or 3 times this past term, and I'm kind of tired of it. Thank you.
All right, so the next part that we're doing is a comment relief part of the forum. And what that is we're going to give one candidate at a time. We're going to ask them 3 questions that has absolutely nothing to do with politics or anything with the something to do with the districts, but nothing major. And the first one, if I may, Ms. Carter. Then you can stand there or just stay standing until all 3 questions are asked and you answer all 3. Okay. Yeah. And the first one is, what is one of your favorite places to eat in your district?
Within my district, Sal's Pizza. Absolutely love Sal's Pizza.
Yeah. Where?
Sal's Pizza is on Stewart's Ferry Pike. Sal's Pizza is on Stewart's Ferry Pike.
All right. And the next question is, what is one of your favorite things to do in Nashville?
Doing that. I love to go. I have my own ball and my own shoes.
All right. And the last question is, if you were an animal, what animal would you be?
A cheetah, because I'm quick on my feet. And the first question is, what is one of your favorite places to eat in your district?
Well, I do love Sal's Pizza. In fact, my second test, we had Sal's last night. Sal's has a big Fertitta sign outside. We enjoy La Hacienda. Of course, they have a big holly sign up front there.
So where you got the sign in, Mark?
But both of those allow me to put my sign there because they realize how much money that we spend at those restaurants. We like different places. My family, we like going to trying out the different burger places around town. We let my son pick a lot of times, and he's 10, so usually we have kind of interesting meals. But something different, something new. McNamara's is in Donaldson, and that's not technically in our district, it's a little below that, but that's a really good place if you like Irish food. Of course, there's not a whole lot to Irish food except potatoes and cabbage, but those places. Like I said, we don't just go to one place, and there's not just one favorite. As you can tell, I've eaten a few meals in my lifetime, but we really enjoy going out in Nashville.
And the next question is, what is one of your favorite things to do in Nashville?
Well, before the election, I love to go to National Sounds games.
All right.
I've not been to them since the election because I never seem to have time. I'm always out there knocking on doors, following Fatisha around, really. That's one of the big things I like to do. We like to go boating on the lake, Priest Lake. That's really across the street from us, so that's a really convenient thing to do. There's just so much to do in Nashville. I mean, you can get the Nashville scene and look in it, and there's stuff every single day just about, and a lot of it's a lot of fun. We love to go to Zanies. We love to go to different things. There's a whole bunch of different things we like to do in Nashville. And I'm sorry, I feel like I'm just rambling on. Third question.
Third question is, if you were an animal, what animal would you be?
Does it have to be like a real animal? Like Godzilla or something? No, I've never thought about what kind of animal I would be. I don't know, I'm gonna say Godzilla because that's the only thing that comes to mind. Really, I've never thought about being an animal. A cheetah, that was a good answer. Quick on her feet, but I've seen too many nature documentaries that want to be something like that. So, Godzilla. Thank you.
And Mr. Freeman is up next.
All right, I don't think I need to repeat the questions. Favorite place to eat in my district? La Hacienda. So it's easy one there. If I get elected, I may try to finagle the borders just a bit and try to grab Patrick's Bistro. If you haven't been there, go tonight. Second question, my favorite thing to do in Nashville, being that we're so close to downtown, would be just jumping on Knowles Road, zipping downtown, going to a show, going to a concert, such like that. My third, well, what animal would I be? I think that's pretty easy. A boxer pup. If you know me, that's easy.
Okay. I'm going to drop this all out for a second. Most of the questions that we got have been addressed by the candidates. People wanted to know about car lots and how you're going to work with neighborhood associations. Somebody asked Mike how he felt about the fairgrounds, and I believe you've addressed that. There's one animal question that just came to me that we're gonna have to skip. So I am going to give Shahzad one more question before you return to what we have left. Right? And if in your closing remarks, there was one thing that, if you could address the deficit in the budget, in Metro budget, in your closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. And let's see, the first one that's going to answer this one, let's do Mr. Cole. Then if you want to step up, and I'll go ahead and answer.
Is this specific to me or is this a general question?
General question.
Okay.
And it says, what improvements can be made to the codes department to improve enforcement, cleanup, and major corridors?
Well, codes need to be enforced. Codes are not enforced. And I don't know exactly why they're not enforced. I don't know if the person who owns the property knows the person who enforces at codes. I don't know if codes is just like, well, we won't worry about it right now. I don't know why codes are not being enforced. However, I think they should be, and I think they need to be held accountable. That's one of the problems among a lot of small neighborhoods in my district. People sit there and say, okay, we know that there's a whole lot of people living in this house here. We know they have cars in the yard. We know that all this stuff is happening, and it keeps on happening, and nobody's doing anything about it. So I think that's one of the kind of important questions we need to kind of start talking to codes about is why are they not enforcing, and why are they not having the police department come over and write citations? You get enough citations, you have to be in front of a judge, you're going to start cleaning up your area. I think that's what we all want, because the people here are not the ones with the junky yards. The people here are the ones that take care of it, who do what they're supposed to do. Because we get a list of all the voters, and one thing I'm always amazed at is that in our district there's like 8,004 voters, and the ones that voted in the last elections are about 1,200. And the ones I've always gone to are ones that have really nice yards, ones that have everything painted up, and these are people who vote, and these are the people that are people here. So you all are not worried about codes, but we need to have codes enforced, and that needs to be a big priority with our council and with our administration. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. I can read that one back to you. All right. What improvements can be made to the codes department to improve enforcement and clean up in major corridors around the area?
talking about just the area in general?
Can't hear you. Orchestra Road and Noblesville Pike specifically.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, one, I think that, I don't know if it's necessarily just codes not enforcing the rules and regulations. I think a lot of times we may ride down the street and we think, oh, somebody's already called about that. And so you keep going, and then actually nobody has ever actually called or voiced the concern to someone that can actually make a difference. So as a voter, as a neighbor, I say first we have to stand up for what we see that's not right. And so if you're going down the road or your next door neighbor has something cluttering up their yard, make the call and let someone know and stay on them. So if it's not fixed within a week or two or whatever time frame they gave you, make sure that we contact them back. If you don't get with them, guess who you can call next? You can call us. And so get us on it, and so we can help you get those results. I will say, especially Murfreesboro and Noblesville Road, those are very busy roads. So we do have a lot of clutter in the area. So getting with the correct departments to make sure that the litter is picked up on a regular basis would be important. Maybe we have a community group that actually wants to get together and come out and help clean up the area. I mean, it takes a village. So us working together to get it done, I think it's possible, but just don't assume that somebody is not doing it. Let's do what we can to help make that difference. Thank you.
All right, could you read the question, please?
What improvements can be made to the codes department to improve enforcement and cleaning up in major corridors?
The one big improvement you can do is fund the department. But we can also be, as neighbors, be neighborly to our neighbors. We don't have to turn them in to codes all the time. If we talk to our neighbors, maybe there's a reason that car has been broken down and sitting in the driveway. Maybe there's a reason that, well, there's no reason to have beer cans all over your yard. I'm not going to one bit.
There's a cause.
But fortunately, in the 16th district, we now have a beautification commissioner. And I think if we work with our beautification commissioner, perhaps we can get some of those codes calls down and just be a neighbor. And but you know, if we don't spend money, we've got to take that on ourselves. Thank you.
All right, and the next question is, if you met someone who was considering moving to our district, what would you say to them by way of recommending the 13th or the 16th district? And this goes to Ms. Carter first, please.
Oh, good. I'm glad I get to go first on this one because I'm a real estate agent, so I get this a lot. And the thing that I love about the 13th district is I like to call it our own little Mayberry because I think we're very close-knit within our own community. So yes, we do have different sides of the community, but within your community, it's very close-knit. We tend to work together. We tend to look out for one another. And I really enjoy that about our community. There's no stranger within our community. Within your circle, there's no stranger, and you're willing to do whatever you can to help that neighbor. So that's the thing that I love the most about our community.
And Mr. Cole.
Would you please repeat the question?
Yeah. If you met someone who was considering moving to our district, what would you say to them by way of recommending the 13th district?
Well, I mean, I do it all the time. There's people in my work that are always looking for places to move. And a lot of them talk about, oh, I want to go to Williamson County or Wilson County because they have better schools. And I say, look, my part of Donaldson, this part over here, is a really nice neighborhood. You get a really good value for your money in terms of a house. You get really good neighbors too. And that's a really nice thing to move into. I'm not sure if we're like Mayberry because I keep on seeing images of Barney Fife come in my head, and that just doesn't seem like that area. But you know, my area is near the airport, and there's some people say, "Oh my God, I can't believe you live in the airport." Well, you know, it takes me 5 minutes to get to the airport when I want to take a plane somewhere, and that's really nice. There's a lot of little things around the airport, a lot of small restaurants and all that are really nice. We've got a great area. I think it's going to be moving up, and that's what I tell people. I say, you know, come out here, take a look at it. You know, there's a lot of people sitting there saying, oh, you know, East Nashville's so cool. Well, yeah, it is, but a lot of people have moved to East Nashville, and now the houses are really, really expensive. I remember when 12 South was not much of a neighborhood. Oh, come on now. You are just doing it too fast. I remember when 12 South wasn't much of a neighborhood, and now that's come up. And I think our neighborhood over here, and the East Thompson, and I think Donaldson, and I think these other neighborhoods are going to come up too. I especially think that when we have more resources being spent in our area, it's going to be a lot better. I think we got good now. I think it's going to be a whole lot better. And I think if you want, I'll tell people, if you want to go on the upswing, you'll go ahead and you'll move in right now.
And then the question is, if you met someone who was considering moving to our district, what would you say to them by way of recommending the 16th district?
The first thing I would tell them is prepare for a bidding war. Because the 16th district is changing. In the last year, housing prices have increased almost $40 a square foot. We're becoming the place to be. And we're becoming the place to be because we're 15 minutes from everywhere. You can get on 24, you can get on 65, you can get on Briley. You can be at the airport in roughly 5 to 10 minutes. And I'd also tell them, welcome. We have got a great area here. We've got great diverse neighbors. You're going to meet a lot of strange people that are going to become your friends. And lastly, I would tell you to lock your doors.
And now for our closing remarks, Ms. Carter, you're up first, and please address the budget deficit as well.
Well, a couple things that I forgot to mention when we started out with our opening remarks. And just a little bit more information about me. So I am born and raised here in Nashville. I grew up in the 13th district. My 5th and 6th grade year, I went to Glenview Elementary. As you guys also can see, I don't like to talk in the microphone. I grew up in the fairgrounds. My mom still lived there, and literally her gate is the fairground gate. So that is very near and dear to my heart. Also, I have 2 teenagers. I have an 18-year-old son who is headed to Alabama A&M, and I have a 16-year-old daughter who is a junior at McGavitt High School. And so growing up here in Nashville, it's been a lot of changes. I mean, we went from a small city to the it city. And so we want to keep that momentum going, and we want that momentum to grow in the 13th district and the 16th district as well. So we want that to grow. We want to keep that going. And I want to be the one to help us keep that going. And whether I'm councilman or not, I plan to help do that still. I'm an activist. I work in the community on a regular basis, and I want to continue to do that. As far as the budget deficit, wow, 4 years. I mean, it's kind of like the presidency. It's kind of like, there's a lot to take care of within one term. It's bad. I'm also an accountant. I have a degree from Daymar Institute in accounting. So I do know how to read a budget. I do know how to drill down on those numbers to see what they really and truly mean. Unlike some of the stuff that's come before the council before, it's kind of rushed through. I know how to read into there real quick, and I know how to ask the right questions to get the right answers. And until I get those answers, I'm going to keep asking questions. I love our mayoral candidates, and I'm not afraid of any of them. So I am willing to hold them all accountable, and the one that gets elected, I'm most definitely willing to hold him or her accountable for their actions and what they put in this budget. And to make sure, as Mike has mentioned, to make sure we're included in that budget, you know, and to make sure that I think we have enough money. I think we have enough money to run our city. It's just a matter of where it's allocated. And I don't think that teachers have to lose their you lose their jobs. I don't think that servicemen don't have to have the right equipment in order to make this city run as it needs to. So in ensuring that everybody gets what they need, I think we can do that if we take a longer and deeper look at the budget. So I just ask you today, if I haven't knocked on your door yet, if one of my volunteers hasn't knocked on your door yet, reach me after this event, because I would love to talk to you and let you know how passionate I am about helping our community move forward. Thank you, and I hope that you vote for Carter. Thank you.
In the last 4.5 years, I've grown to love the 16th district. And I've noticed a lot of changes in the 16th district. And I've seen some deficits in the 16th district. When I moved here, I didn't know exactly the neighbors that I was going to meet. I didn't know that I was going to have one of the greatest neighbors living down the street, Mr. Rick Harris. But anyway, what I bring to the table through the years of community service with the Boy Scouts, service to the country, and the job experience that I have, and the ability to work with anyone and everyone, I think will benefit our 16th district. I also think, as far as the deficit's concerned, one thing that I am fortunate of is that my career pays for my health insurance. City Council just last meeting voted to continue keeping the medical benefits for the City Council. It was 18 to 15. In 2019, City Council would have come off the medical benefits after an 8-year term. 2 terms, 8 years total. Well, I'm fortunate. I don't need that medical benefit. I don't need the taxpayers paying my medical benefit. What I would like to see done is have that go away. We can free up some income. That way, when Metro employees who work 30 years retire, they can have benefits. When a councilman works 8 years and you get those same benefits, that's just not right. I ask for your vote. Mike Freeman, 16th District. Thank you.
Well, I want to first thank the East Thompson Neighborhood Association. I appreciate you all inviting us to come out here. I know there's just a small part of our district in this neighborhood association. I appreciate you allowing Patricia and myself to speak. I want to start with the budget question first. I've spoken to at least 3 former councilmen regarding the budget. And one of the big questions they always ask is, will you raise taxes? And I'm always like, well, I don't want my taxes raised, and I don't see any reason to. And they say, well, there's actually enough money in the budget to do what we want to do and do what we need to do. That being said, we need to do that. We need to allocate it better. One of the problems with government is that there seems to always be a lot of waste. We need to trim that. We need to work on that. As I stated earlier, my undergraduate is in finance. And I know how to look at a balance sheet. I've worked at banks. I've worked for a company doing financial work. We can fix the deficit. And that's money coming in and money going out. It's really simple. It's like a household. If you don't have money coming in, you don't spend it. Now, I have lived in the 13th District for 10 years. My wife's lived in the area for most of her life. We've been married almost 25 years, and we have a 10-year-old son. All this is really important to me. Our city is really important to me. If you elect me, I will do what I can to make sure you know what's going on, to make sure that you know how I'm thinking about issues, and to make sure that when I do vote on issues, it's not going to be a surprise. We may disagree on things, and if so, I'm going to tell you what my thinking is. And I hope you tell me what your thinking is. But I really hope that when you, those in the 13th district, when you go and vote, you pick the one in the middle, Mark Cole. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is all the questions that we have. So if we can, let's get a please just round of applause for East Thompson.
Thanks to the candidates for coming. All the candidates from the 13th and 16th district were invited. These folks came on a Saturday afternoon. We appreciate that. I want to thank the volunteers. Joe Colbert may have had the hardest job here. I want to thank my husband, who every time East Thompson Community does anything, he lugs a PA system and sets it up, and he lugs it home, and he's nice to me about it. I want to thank the steering committee, because without our our president-elect, our cameraman, Scott Sutton, working so hard over there, and the steering committee as a whole for everything they've done. I know we have some council-at-large candidates here. I'm not going to acknowledge you, but if you want to, everybody look around and raise your hands. Be sure to speak to these people on your way out, and thanks for coming.